Imagine hearing the words, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor," and realizing they're not a slogan, but a personal operating system. Elon Musk isn't just an entrepreneur. He's a force of nature, a whirlwind of ideas, intuition, and risks, both calculated and reckless, a figure who polarizes instantly. You either admire him or criticize him, but ignoring him is almost impossible. He's taken on entire industries: mobility, energy, space communications, artificial intelligence, finance, neurotechnology. Yet the real question isn't just what Elon Musk does, it's why he does it, and what we can steal, yes, steal, from his mindset to apply in our own lives, even if we don't have billions, rockets, or companies. Behind every controversial tweet, behind every surreal press conference, lies a mind that thinks in centuries, that wakes up asking not, "How can I make more money?" but "How can I change the fate of civilization?" Born in South Africa in a harsh, often violent environment, Musk grew up introverted, obsessed with computers and sci-fi books. At 12, he built and sold a video game. At 17, he moved to Canada alone, then to the United States with the idea, even then, of doing something huge. His climb wasn't smooth. PayPal, his first big exit, came out of mergers and co-founder conflicts. SpaceX almost failed 3 times. Tesla teetered on bankruptcy. In the brutal winter of 2008, Musk had to choose which one company to save with his last dollars, and instead gambled everything to keep both alive. The gamble worked, but it easily could have failed. That's the point. Musk treats the improbable as routine, not because he feels invincible, but because he views fear as a lousy advisor and mediocrity as a waste of oxygen. He pushes where nobody else wants to go. Colonizing Mars isn't a publicity stunt. It's his response to the uncomfortable question he keeps asking. What happens if humanity stays stuck on one planet? His obsession isn't space. It's the long-term survival of the human species. In that sense, Musk isn't an eccentric billionaire. He's an idealist armed with math. So what can we learn? That real ambition isn't megalomania, it's responsibility. That we can and must think bigger. That every time we tell ourselves, "It's not the right moment, I'm not ready, it's too hard," we may be dodging the part of us that knows exactly what it wants, but is afraid to want it. This journey into Musk's mind isn't about becoming him. It's about remembering that we too have a crazy idea, a project in a drawer, an intuition that scares us because it seems too big. Maybe you don't need to build a rocket, but you can raise your trajectory, aim higher, and stop waiting for permission. Who is Elon Musk, really? Not the glossy-covered billionaire? Not the CEO who tweets Dogecoin jokes and jolts the markets. He started as a skinny, quiet kid, born in 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa, a complex and often harsh setting. His mother, May Musk, is brilliant and independent, a dietitian and model who reinvented herself repeatedly. His father, Elon Musk, an engineer, is a controversial figure, strict, ingenious, but carrying shadows that Elon calls one of the heaviest weights of his childhood. In that tension, Musk forged a powerful escape: his mind. As a child, he devoured comics, science books, encyclopedias. By 9, he had finished the entire Britannica. A pure nerd with a voracious, almost obsessive hunger for knowledge, he was anything but popular, often isolated, ignored, bullied, once beaten so badly he landed in the hospital with nasal damage and temporary hearing loss. Yet in that solitude, Musk began to imagine other worlds, literally. Fascinated by sci-fi, by space colonization, by the idea that humans could become a multiplanetary species, at 12, he coded a video game called Blaster and sold it for $500. But South Africa felt too small. At 17, he fled with a backpack and a Canadian visa, dodging mandatory military service and inching closer to America, the beating heart of tech. He studied economics and physics at the University of Pennsylvania. but college was just a waypoint. He was hungry to build, create, launch. At 24, he founded Zip2, a digital city guide for newspapers, which he sold for over $300 million. Then he created X.com, a pioneer in online payments, which merged into PayPal. After the sale to eBay for $1.5 billion, he could have retired to luxury, collecting supercars and mansions. Instead, he doubled down, pouring almost all his capital into 3 wild bets: SpaceX to make space accessible, Tesla to reinvent ground transport, SolarCity to free the world from fossil fuels. Then came Neuralink to link brain and machine, Starlink to connect the planet by satellite, the Boring Company to reinvent urban transport. Each company, each project starts with one mother question: what does humanity truly need for the future? Not what's the best-selling product, but what are we missing to survive, progress, evolve? These questions guide him even when everything seems lost. In 2008, SpaceX had failed 3 launches. Tesla was out of cash. Musk himself says he spent that Christmas $40 million in personal debt. Then launch 4 succeeded, and Tesla got lifeline funding, sparking one of the steepest climbs in history. Today, Musk launches satellites, shapes AI's future, spars publicly with presidents and billionaires, but remains the same kind of human: imperfect, divisive, sometimes unbearable, always radically action-oriented. He's no saint, no universal role model, but he's living proof of what happens when vision becomes obsession, and obsession becomes reality. A man who risks everything, always, for an idea bigger than himself, and who, for better or worse, is rewriting the rules of the modern world. What are the beating hearts of his thinking? Musk doesn't follow trends. His mind runs on deep, precise rails that make him more than an entrepreneur. They make him an architect of the possible. At least 5 ideas keep surfacing in everything he does. 1. Think from first principles. Musk doesn't reason by analogy, doesn't start with what already exists, never asks, how did others do it? He goes to the root like a physicist, breaking a problem down to its fundamental truths, its conceptual atoms, and rebuilding from there. That's how he made rockets at a fraction of NASA's cost, by asking, what is a rocket made of? What do those materials really cost? And why are we paying so much to assemble them? Anyone can adopt this. Don't copy, understand, rebuild from zero, be radical in simplicity. 2. Failure is part of the path. In deeds, not just words. Musk has watched his rockets explode on global live streams, shipped flawed Tesla models, announced tech years late, and keeps going, because if you're not failing enough, you're not innovating enough. Every crash is part of the flight, every disaster a step towards something no one has done before. A hard lesson in a world that punishes error and worships perfection. But that's where change is born. 3. Work as if your life depends on it. Musk rejects traditional work-life balance. He's slept in factories, logged 80 or 100-hour weeks, not for bragging rights, but because he deemed it necessary. When Tesla was near collapse, he was on the line, always, with all his personal capital and energy in play. Extreme, yes, but brutally honest. Big results exact a price, sometimes emotional, mental, human. The real question: how much do you believe? How much will you give? 4. Tackle colossal problems. Musk never built smartphone apps or chased the right idea to get rich. He targets foundations, energy, transport, space, communication, neural interfaces, huge, daunting issues at civilization's core, showing anyone who feels small that the world needs people who think huge. 5. Act even when afraid. Musk admits fear of bankruptcy, failure, ridicule, but decides anyway, launches anyway, risks anyway, a philosophy of continuous motion. He doesn't wait for perfect timing or approval, he creates the moment, because every future starts with a courageous act, a courage you can wield, even without rockets or a company, as a mindset, a choice, a spark. And often a single spark is enough to start. How do we use all this today? First, learn to think from zero. Don't start with what's normal, what does everyone do, what's expected. Start with the raw facts. Strip a problem to essentials, like explaining it to a child. That's first principles thinking, useful not just for rockets, but for changing jobs, resolving conflict, making decisions. Thinking from zero is power. Next, accept failure as training. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. We freeze because we fear mistakes and judgment. Yet failure, stared down, shows us where to improve and accelerates growth. Don't dodge it. Fail better. Fail faster. Get up sharper. Third, pour real energy into what matters. Musk works long, but, more importantly, works focused. It's not about 100-hour weeks, but about 2 hours of truly switched-on presence without distraction. In today's world, attention is discipline. Ask, how many hours am I fully inside what I do? Quality of focus is the differentiator. Fourth, raise the bar. Choose a goal that scares you, stretches you, forces you to grow. Musk didn't know how to build rockets. He learned, reading, asking, trying. Genius isn't required. Choosing something that expands you is. One small step every day towards something huge. Finally, act, even if it's messy, incomplete, imperfect. Action tips the scale. As long as you're thinking, everything's hypothetical. Move a finger, send that email, start that project, speak to that person, and the world reacts. Clarity forms. Vision crystallizes into reality. That's the Musk method, and simply a human method. Imperfect, concrete, powerful. Now it's on you. Why is Elon Musk still relevant today? Because he embodies our age's contradictions, technology and loneliness, genius and chaos, speed and fragility. He talks about colonizing Mars while tweeting surreal memes at 2 a.m., can swing markets with a joke, can launch global internet satellites, and sleep on a factory floor to hit a deadline. Beyond the noise, Musk matters because he keeps raising uncomfortable questions. What if AI surpasses us and lacks human values? What if we fail to make energy sustainable in time? Do we have a long-term future if we stay confined to one vulnerable planet? These aren't just his obsessions. They're the questions haunting our era, even if we prefer to ignore them. With all his excesses, Musk shoves them center stage. He's relevant because he defies tempo. While many entrepreneurs optimize, he reimagines. While the world seeks stability, he pushes for quantum leaps, forcing us to think about what we're really building with technology. Musk thinks like an outsider even at the heart of the establishment, making him threatening to some, inspiring to others, but never irrelevant. He reminds us, every crisis is a crossroads. Every system has a breaking point and hidden potential. Every impossible is just an assumption until someone overturns it. In that sense, Musk isn't merely current. He's a catalyst of ideas, fears, possibilities. What we do with that is up to us. So what does Elon Musk truly leave us? A challenge, a provocation, and a brutally imperfect human example of what happens when you stop asking permission and start building. He leaves us the question, how much are you willing to risk for what you believe in? He shows you can fall in front of millions, lose money, credibility, friends, and still rise, stubborn, sharper, more obsessed. He doesn't invite us to become him. One is enough, but reminds us every limit is negotiable. Rules can be rewritten if you'll pay the price. And even in a hyper-connected, hypercritical, hyper-fast world, you can still create the impossible. If this video made you think, shook you up, that pushed you to rethink how you're living. Share it. Subscribe to the channel. Comment which visionary mind you want to meet next. Because the biggest ideas always start with a different thought, a risk, a step into the void. See you next time.